Good day, everyone. This is Johaira Sulaiman's report, the Assure model. But before we proceed to our discussion, let me state first our objectives. At the end of this discussion, the students should be able to understand the concept of the Assure model in designing lessons with technology and apply the Assure model in planning and creating a lesson. In this module, we will discuss one instructional design model that can be used in planning instructions for teaching. So here's the roadmap for this presentation. Now let's start our discussion with the question, what is Assure model? The Assure model is an instructional framework or rule that instructors can use to create lesson plans which coordinate the utilization of innovation of technology and media. The Assure model emphasizes the student and the general result of achieving learning targets. The exceptional component of this model is that it is centered around arranging and directing instructions that fuses media. Its principal point of view is on the best way to incorporate media, any sort of media, into guidance and a technique equipped for delivering the ideal learning results. So this is created by Robert Hynek and Michael Molinda decades prior. The Assure model picked up ubiquity due to its utilization in a well-known course reading for instructors. It is a notable instructional structure control that utilizes the constructivist point of view, which integrates multimedia and technology to upgrade the learning condition. The Assure model gives the new or beginner teacher a general guide to follow to assist them with deduction, increasingly like experienced teachers. This model was developed by Henrik and Molinda in 1999 and is based closely on the instruction events of Robert Gagne. Furthermore, Smaldino, Lowther, and Russell 2008 adopted the Assure model to be used by teachers in the classroom. Understanding when to use teaching techniques and immersive technology is key to being successful academically in the future. So, in short, the Assure model is an instructional framework or rule that instructors can use to create lesson plans which coordinate the utilization of innovation of technology and media. The Assure model places a strong emphasis on the student and the overall outcome of meeting learning objectives. The Assure instructional design model uses a 6-step process to effectively integrate the use of technology and media into lessons to improve student learning. For successful instruction to occur, cautious arranging is required. As a future teacher, this model is intended to help you viably coordinate media innovation into your lesson or instructions to help or guarantee learning. So now let's proceed to 6 steps of Assure model. The Assure model has 6 steps and each represented by a letter in the acronym title, with each step describing a set of tasks central to the informed selection and use of educational technology. The Assure acronym stands for these essential components. A for Analyze Learners' Characteristics, S for State Objectives, S for Select, Modify or Design Materials, U for Utilize Materials, R for Require Learners' Response, and E for Evaluation. So, in Analyze Learners, the first step in the process is to make the instructor evaluate her learners' attributes. Those learner characteristics that are correlated with the optimal learning outcomes should be given a priority. The collected information will help you with the decisions you make on the other steps in the process. When you assess the learner's character, this will help you in choosing different techniques and tools to assist the learning process. It means analyzing the character of your students will help you decide on the best teaching methods and resources. Priority should be given to learner traits associated with the best learning results. You'll do learner analysis on general characteristics of learners, academic prowess, gender, interests, several types of learning, including auditory, visual, and tactile. Next, state objectives. The next step in planning is to state the objectives of the lesson or presentation accurately. Target must be specified in terms of what the learner would do as a result of the training. The student, not the instructor or presenter, must be the one to define the targets as a result of the instruction in behavioral conditions. You'll have 2 or 3 distinct objectives for your lecture. Goals contain the following 4 components: the audience, behavior, condition, and degree. For audience, of course, we should consider who is our target audience because they will be the beneficiaries of the lecture. Next is behavior. So in this part, I think as an instructor, you have to consider this to know the interest of the audience, which is your learners. Next is condition. When we say condition, it is a broad word which we can include a lot of things, like for example, the condition of the students on how they can engage to your lectures. Next is degree. In this part, I think this where the degree or the level of the lectures you will be presenting to the students, or it may be the consideration of the students' level on how they can go along to the lectures. So, lastly, select media and materials. In this step, you have set the starting point, the students' current information, aptitudes, and perspectives, and the consummation point or objectives of your instruction. Presently, your activity is the fabricate an instructional scaffold that will associate the 2 focuses. You may choose accessible materials, change existing materials, or structure new materials to help achieve the task. You may select a few distinct kinds of media to use with the unit of any media or innovations examined in the content will be fitting. It means it talks about what is the student's present knowledge, skills, and views. Your current task is to create an educational framework that connects the 2. To help with the process, you can structure new materials, modify old materials, or choose accessible materials. Any of the mediums or advances covered in the article will work. So that ends my report. The rest will be discussed by Miss Salmia.